Hello and welcome to another episode of Brand Retro. Today we have Khierstyn Ross and we're going to talk about some e-commerce, some Shopify, and kind of that holiday prep that everybody's probably going through at the moment. So Khierstyn, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, so start us off. Tell us a little bit about what you do. I know kind of your core is helping brands with Kickstarter, Shopify, and those kinds of things, but in this time of year, how does that change? Because obviously the holidays are right around the corner, and for some people it might be too late, and for other people it's crunch time.
Yeah, it's so interesting because there's so many different ways to answer this question. But for some context, I'm the CEO of Launch and Scale. So we work with early stage online brands to either launch new products using Kickstarter and Shopify or work with existing brands to help actually scale them up to that $3 million a year mark. And I love what I do. So today is going to be good. But when we look at like the holiday season right now we are about a week away from Black Friday, Cyber Monday, New Year's, and like what we call that like Q4 holiday season. And it's a really exciting time frame for any online seller, but it's a bit of a cluster when you look at an online seller doing this for the first time. So Q4 is going to be your time where most of your sales are going to happen in the year, like 30-40% happens. Consumers are just trained to kind of wait for this time of year to take advantage of some of the big sales that are happening and to buy stuff in time for Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever that looks like. So we have this time right now in Q4 where it's the biggest sales time of year, but a lot of online brands they do kind of struggle with how much to push. How do you stand up above the competition? Because, in Q4, there's a lot of ad spend happening. There's a lot of offers and there's a lot of consumer attention that's, I guess, being split between so many options that they have of where to spend their money. So in terms of like someone's opportunity to prepare for a good Q4, it comes down to getting organized, putting together the right offer that your audience is going to not only jump at, but make sure it's a value add and something that just doesn't seem like another discount. But on the flip side, that's really going to be for brands that have product in market. On the flip side, if you have a company that's trying to launch a product during November, December, if you can't get product under the Christmas tree for someone, your launch is really going to struggle during this time. So I think if we look at what your objectives are in Q4, it should really be to sell existing product.
Yeah. And I think I'm just prefacing this because when we're going to launch this podcast or this episode is that you as a retailer should have been thinking about this a long time. Yeah.
August.
So coming into this season, the first thing is we've got to have a plan. And what I tell a lot of my clients and people that are entering this space is A, you got to plan, but B, don't bite off more than you can chew, and do not make promises you can't keep, because it feels like you have weeks, right? It feels like you've got more time than you really do. But you don't. When Thanksgiving hits and Black Friday hits and Cyber Monday hits, and then you've got 2 weeks before Christmas, it is a very kind of wonky time to get things done, and you have less time than you think you do. So that's kind of my advice for these people. But that plan, like that is where all of that stuff should happen, and to be realistic about it.
Yeah. And I'm wondering if we should, because we could go into this like, hey, I was prepping brands for Thanksgiving in August. And so if a brand is listening to this right now and they're like, oh crap, I don't have anything planned for this week when it launches or whatnot, why don't we talk about what are some last minute things that people can do if they haven't like finalized their offers, or maybe they've now decided miraculously to put on an offer for this year? What are some like last minute things they can do?
Yeah. I mean, I'll start us off and by all means jump in. But like, if it were me, if I was in that position, I would put it together as much of a plan as I could in a short time frame. I would definitely factor in only the things that I can react to and make happen and follow through with. Like, do not bite quite off more than you can chew. And I would say the third thing is pay close attention to your numbers and focus on the days where you have a higher likelihood to succeed. I see a lot of clients that want to spread it out. If they've got 14 days to deal with, they want to almost equally spread their efforts over the 14 days. And it's like, no, if 2 out of those 14 days are your highest producing days, put all your eggs in that basket, because those days will pay for the other 12.
Oh my gosh, yes. Like, are you talking about like batching your work? If you've got 14 days of promo to do, take a Monday, Tuesday, set it all up at once. Is that kind of what you're saying?
I would say partially in the efforts that it takes to build that too, but also where you're going to put your sales, where you're going to try to deplete your inventory, where you're going to try to put your best incentives. We have a tendency to want to make the slow days not slow. And I get it. Yeah, I get it. You want that day to be as active as your best day, but that's really hard to do. It's hard to lift the slow days. So where you want to put your gas, or where do you want to throw gas on the fire, is you want to throw it on the days that are typically already successful based off of history, analytics, those kinds of things.
Yeah.
So like I even tell clients, most people have a semi-limited budget, like I have, just for round numbers, I have $10,000 to spend. And I know that 60% of my sales come in these certain days. Then don't spread that $10,000 over a majority of days. Take that 10,000 and just focus on those days that perform the best, and just hit those days the hardest, because that's where you're going to see the lift.
Yeah. I love that. I love that.
I mean, it's a big animal. And I think, to your point, for those who are listening that are like, oh my God, I don't have much time, it doesn't mean you can't have something pulled together. It just means you have to be that much more intentional and strategic.
Mm-hmm. It's so true.
So what would you tell clients that maybe this is their first year and they don't have the analytics to go off? They don't have the history. They don't have the experience. They're jumping into it for the first time and they're like, hey, I don't know what to expect.
So first thing I would do is think of what will benefit my audience the most. Number one, when you look at, I've seen some brands out of sheer laziness repeat the same sale over and over and over again. Hey, 15% again. And there's no reason for someone to buy on Thanksgiving. So how to put together a good offer. Dan Kennedy talks a lot about this, where you want to create something exclusive, maybe a new offer that you haven't done before. You can do this by, say, bundling some of your most popular items and turning that into a starter kit. You can do a BOGO, buy one, get one 50% off. Maybe you can use Thanksgiving to launch your new thing and offer an exclusive early bird discount on that. The first thing you want to do is try not to repeat offers you've done in the past, unless it was so popular, you're bringing it back. But you need to have exclusivity and give people a reason to buy this now, because you haven't done it before and it's something new, right? The second thing is you want to offer timeliness on the offer. So don't just I recommend not just sending an email saying, hey, get our starter kit 20% off, because then there's no urgency on that. There's no reason for someone to buy, because they're like, oh, cool, I can get that offer at any point. But if in the way you're presenting that offer, you're saying, hey, we're doing this exclusive thing, this really cool widget spinner that we are making available for this weekend only at this price. This means that you have until Sunday at midnight to get it. So you want to offer timeliness on the offer, because people need a reason to buy. So if you can layer in the right offer with communication around this discount is only available until this time, or we only have 50 available, that's going to help move your inventory a lot better and help people take action on that weekend that you want them to. So a good offer, like I think Black Friday, Thanksgiving, etc., you don't have to have this whole thing. You don't have to do ads. You don't have to do all that. You can simply say, you know what, we're going to put our starter kit on offer this weekend. It's going to be available for purchase between Friday and end of day Sunday. Okay, great. So we'll send an email on Friday, a reminder on Saturday for why people need to buy, some reviews on Sunday, and a last chance offer Sunday night. It could be as simple as that for your Black Friday offer, your Thanksgiving offer.
Right. And if that offer is limited, or if that offer is, say you're limited by the number of, inventory that you have on hand, benefit those who are loyal to. I mean, we always want to grow our audience, and I get it, but I'd rather give that benefit or that exclusivity to the people who got me there than
Your
50
customers.
people that I've never heard from before and might never hear from again. So like,
I love
leverage
that.
it. Yeah. It's about leverage, and it's about kind of identifying, how to use what you have and kind of leverage that to your advantage without getting in that odd situation where you can't deliver.
Yeah, we actually use that with Kickstarter launches where we have VIPs, which are people that put down a $1 reservation for exclusive perks on the product when we launch. And what we do for launches is we say the VIPs get first dibs on the cart. So they have like an hour to buy before anyone else. And then we open it up to the rest of the wait list. If you're using that for Black Friday and you want to honor your customers, what you can do is you can have it so that any past customers you have get first dibs on new inventory, first dibs on new product drops, first dibs on the Black Friday offer. Because that's a really easy way. You could say Friday morning from up until noon is like customers only, and then you open it up to the rest. Is like something super easy, and it honors your customer base, and it allows people to like kind of have that brand loyalty because they know that they get exclusivity, exclusive perks or whatnot by being your customer.
Yeah, I think correct me if I'm wrong or if you disagree, but I feel like a lot of clients, a lot of e-commerce companies, they don't feel like they've got the time to make it feel boutique. They don't necessarily feel like they have the time or the resources to make it feel one-off or to really focus
personalized.
On, they just don't feel like they've got the time to focus that. And this time of year, especially if you are in those beginning stages, or if this is your first rodeo, make the time to make it personalized. Make the time to have a handwritten note in the package or throw a sticker in, because that is the stuff that is going to make you stand out, and it's going to make them remember you. And now's the time. It's really important. And it's probably one of the cheapest ways to market yourself and to create some kind of an impact.
So true.
Are you typically dealing with that kind of scope, or are they bigger clients? Are they bigger retailers, or are they more in that boutique Etsy kind of mindset?
They are a little more than Etsy. Like, so Etsy I can't really classify Etsy and Amazon as the same kind of bucket, but Etsy is like custom whatever you want. You have a one-on-one relationship with the seller because it's just a transaction, right? We actually get a lot of Etsy sellers that end up wanting to build the business off of Etsy and turn it into a brand. So that's where you get an Etsy seller transitioning onto Shopify to start to be able to build that online community, build that audience base, and serve more of a one-to-many model. So we work with early stage where we're not at that like 8-figure retailer yet, but we have it so that the founder is still pretty involved with the day-to-day, but they're getting to a point where they're getting 40 to 50 orders a day, not the 1 to 5 at the solopreneur level, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So what advice do you give those types of clients in finding that balance as to where to put their resources or where to put kind of their marketing efforts?
Oh, yeah. So it depends on kind of budget they have for money and what kind of time they have. So someone who is looking to moonlight, so let's just say we have a lawyer that is launching a business on the side and eventually wants to retire from being a lawyer and go full-time into the business. A lawyer will have 15, 20 hours a week tops that she could put into the business. So we look at highest yield activities that she could be doing. She should, in the beginning, not be scheduling social media content. Doing anything repetitive, should not be doing those $10 an hour tasks, so to speak. So the very first thing we look to offload when someone is scaling, depending on if they're time poor or time rich, is we need to look to get those admin tasks off the plate to save bandwidth for some of the higher impact tasks, such as product development, project management, marketing, et cetera, right? Pitching retailers, et cetera. So we look at, if we qualify the tasks that a founder does in the very beginning, some of those tasks are $500 an hour tasks, and some of those tasks are $10 an hour tasks. So we have to look to see what are things that we need to gradually get off their plate so that they're able to start shifting their time into running the business and actually pushing that forward. The other thing we look to do is that in the very beginning, you have two ways to market a business. You have organic, which are things like pitching retailers, social media, influencer outreach. And then you have the paid side, which is more your paid TikTok, Google, Facebook ads, etc. In the beginning, if you are cash poor, you're going to be doing a lot more of the organic side where you're spending your time doing social media posts. You're doing kind of the low budget advertising, which is a slower growth. But once you start to generate revenue, you can reinvest that into ads and then start to level that in. And then you look to optimize based on getting that going. So in the beginning, though, if you do have a job or some sort of like cash pool that you're able to invest in the business, we'd want to see you go to ads earlier on to start getting some traffic and optimizing with data as you go. So my answer is it really depends on your situation, how much time you have to put in, what your skill set is, and how much money you have. And at that point, you need to customize what you can do in the very beginning. And then as you build, start to reinvest.
But you help them through that process on how to get there, right? Because that's to me the hard part. Everybody thinks, I mean, I'm personally a less is more guy. But when people start businesses like this, they want to be everywhere. And what happens is they just don't have the time to be everywhere. They don't have the time to do a good job everywhere.
Yeah.
So they're trying to be on social media. They're trying to tag and sell products through Instagram. They're trying to have an e-commerce store. They're just trying to do too much. And I always tell them to take a step back. Let's figure out what's working. And once you get your arms around that, then we can talk what's next.
Yeah. I talked to a founder a few weeks ago who was like, hey, I'm on Amazon. I'm on Etsy. I'm on Shopify. Right. I'm on social. I started ads and I'm burning out and I don't know what's working. And we're getting sales I don't know where from. I need someone to look at my data and help me figure out where to put my efforts. I'm like, okay, yeah, you're like most people. So in the beginning, you don't know what is going to work for you. You can put out your best guess, start taking some action, see what's working, turn off what isn't. And it's just a constant data optimization process.
Exactly.
It's fun.
And so talk to me a little bit about Kickstarter and let's start by just saying, I'll have you just explain to me what Kickstarter is, but then also how can people utilize that tool to help their business get off the ground?
I love that. So Kickstarter, for those that aren't familiar with it, is a crowdfunding platform. It is a crowdfunding platform that lets new entrepreneurs or existing brands launch a product on Kickstarter, so brand new product, and helps them raise the capital they need to bring that product to market. Kickstarter specifically, as an example, if we use it to bring this fun case to market, if I talk to my manufacturer, I know that I need $10,000 to manufacture this first run of inventory. And I, as a founder, may not want to take that money out of savings to pay for it, or I may want to do a Kickstarter campaign to get proof of concept to see if there's even traction for this thing. So what I'll do is I will put this product on Kickstarter, run a 30-day marketing campaign, and people are going to give me money by pre-ordering the product. So then at that point, I'm able to go on Kickstarter and say hey, I need 10 grand to bring this to market. Who's in? And people give me money. Let's just say I then raise $15,000 for it. Great. My campaign was successful. I have the funds to manufacture and I can now bring it to market. That is what Kickstarter started as. It's a way to help fund new ideas for bootstrapped entrepreneurs. And they do it through pre-orders.
Perfect. That's a great explanation. And I'm kind of asking these questions to flush out the details for the listeners, but if I'm somebody who wants to do something like that, who's that audience? Are there people on Kickstarter that are looking for opportunities to invest? Are they people with like
Yeah.
philanthropy minded efforts? Are they somebody like who am I marketing to, essentially, in air quotes? Who am I marketing to by putting it on Kickstarter? Who's my audience?
Yeah. Great question. So the first misconception is that a Kickstarter has a huge audience. Last I checked 6 months ago, we're hitting about 18 million views over a 6-month period. So big audience. They've got a huge customer base of people that come back and support campaigns over and over and over again. Because of that, because Kickstarter has so much traffic, we just assume that, oh, I put my product on Kickstarter and people buy my product. It's not about that. To be successful on Kickstarter, you need to build your own traction, build your own audience ahead of time so that when you launch on Kickstarter, you've got a good starter audience of people who are going to start supporting your campaign so that when Kickstarter sees that you are a popular project and gaining some traction, that's when their algorithm is going to start boosting you. Kind of like on Reddit for upvoting posts, right? That's it. Like the more traction you get early on, the more Kickstarter's algorithm says, hey, our community seems to be enjoying this. Hey, we're making money off this. We should boost it and show it to more people on our website. And at that point, it creates a snowball effect where you are now easy to discover from the Kickstarter community. And that's what pushes your funding over. People on Kickstarter are, in a sense, they're not investors because they're not actually getting equity or shares of your company, but you do get people who want to support, like they're now successful entrepreneurs or philanthropists, or they're people that want to give back and support small businesses. And they do that by buying products that they seem to believe in on Kickstarter. So there is one segment of backers or your Kickstarter customers that do that, but mostly who you're seeing is Kickstarter is the best place on the planet for new innovative product ideas that are not available anywhere else. So Kickstarter is really a bunch of early adopters that go there to see what is the new, latest, and greatest that's coming out. That's who you're going to find. Kickstarter has a wide range of products, from their top categories being RPG and gaming / board games. You have your design and tech, and you have, I think those are like the main ones that you see.
Yeah.
With that. So
yeah, so I think that's great. And where I was going with that, you kind of get it. But the distinction there is it's not necessarily just about financial support. It's kind of about bringing a new idea to market.
And supporting that venture. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So tell me a little bit about the connection there between Kickstarter and Shopify. Is there a logical connection between the two, or and they integrated in some way that kind of makes them a happy marriage in this process?
I would love to see them integrated in the future. Kickstarter right now fights against being an e-commerce platform, even though that's how it's being used. But that's a conversation for another day. So Shopify is a platform where you build your storefront and manage your online business from, right?
Yes.
So a couple ways they can work. If you are a brand new online seller that is going to Kickstarter for your first product, then you're using Kickstarter to launch your product, launch your brand, and get funding for that. So that after your 30-day Kickstarter campaign, you can then launch your Shopify store and continue to take pre-orders on your Shopify site until you are fulfilling, and then you build the rest of your online brand on Shopify. That's one way to do it. If you are an existing brand that already has a Shopify site, you already have a customer base, you already have product, then you can use Kickstarter as a launch platform to launch a new product idea. And then after that is launched, you can then train those customers to come and shop with some of your other products. But we get a lot of existing brands because that's a great question of like, okay, if I already have a Shopify site, why would I launch my product on another platform? The reason is that we see a lot of entrepreneurs that have existing brands go over to Kickstarter and do a launch because it helps build their audience on a new platform in front of a customer base that they maybe couldn't tap into previously. So Kickstarter is a great way, kind of like Amazon, how you're able to tap into another traffic source. And so we find a lot of entrepreneurs, if like current brands, if the Kickstarter launch model works, you're going to find that they go back to Kickstarter over and over and over again, because it's just like a really great pool of people. So
exactly. And kind of the point I want to add to that, and kind of where I was going with that, is I think, a lot of people see big brands go to Kickstarter. And I think the question that they ask themselves is, well, why are they going to Kickstarter? They don't need Kickstarter. And they miss the point in that it's not necessarily about the financial support. It's more about the cultivating of audience and cultivating, people that get hyped about this stuff or get hyped about something new coming. And I think if you were to stack up, the awareness and the hype wheel that Kickstarter can offer in comparison to like running a paid ad, it probably does make sense. So when you see big brands, when you see established brands do things on Kickstarter, you have to look at the intent as to why they're doing it.
Yeah, 100%. So I totally agree. Like there are 3 to 4 main reasons why brands go to Kickstarter or do a crowdfunding campaign, but it varies. You're going to find early stage people do it for funding. They do it for validation. They do it for validation for investment, because they can then take those numbers to an investor and say, see, look, we have proof of concept. We've got some traction. Give me money. You have existing brands that do it for the audience. They do it for, right? Just, so those are really the main reasons.
Yeah. Well, Khierstyn, this has been great. Tell us a little bit more about where they can, find information on what you do, your company, and kind of, why they should reach out to you. And why I would say that is because I work with a lot of clients who want to start e-commerce. E-commerce is kind of sexy. It's fun. Everybody wants to do it.
Right.
It's harder than you think. If you can bring in an expert, if you can get some answers to your questions earlier on in the process and jump the line and not have to hit your head so many times. So with that, tell us more about where they can find you and more information.
Yeah. So 2 best places to find us is going to be our website, launchandscale.co, so .co. And the other one is if you're into YouTube, we have a YouTube channel with hundreds of videos on Kickstarter, Shopify, early stage validation, you name that. So you just look up either Khierstyn on YouTube or Launch and Scaled, and you will find it.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for being on. And to be honest, I'd love to have you on again, because I think there's so much we could unpack here. So
much.
But thank you.
Thanks so much. Take care.
If you'd like to learn more about CyberDogs, share your thoughts, or even ask a specific question about this episode and or the brand Retro Mindset, contact me directly at mike@cyberdogsmarketing.com.